I got into ice hockey probably because of my dad. I started playing when I was 5 years old.
So I got into basketball at a very young age. I started when I was 3 years old.
I have been into sport my whole life. I'm like your typical sport every day, can't get away from it. So when I came to university, I made sure that I went to the sports fair during Welcome Week.
As a student at the University of Sheffield in 2006, which was an awfully long time ago, and got involved, as many people do, in sports clubs. I went to the sports fair. At the time, I think there was 47 clubs to choose from, and I'd always played cricket from a really young age, so I kind of made a beeline to the stall.
Well, I never played pre-uni. I fell into it at university, and it just happened to be sports fair. And I knew I wanted a team sport. I have an older sister, and she previously had been to uni, and she said, like, join a sport, it'll be the best thing you do. So then, yeah, I was just looking around and rugby just caught my eye.
I actually didn't start rugby until my third year, and I started rugby via going to a Give It a Go, which I recommend everyone going to, like, go to as many as you can.
The first question I actually asked them was, how likely is it will I break my nose? And if it was a yes, that was it, I was backing out. And they were like, only a few have, you'll be fine. And then I just went to the Give It Goes and fell in love with it straight away.
I was in the army for quite a few years, and I tried to box with them, but they have really strict medical conditions, and because I'd had a minor nasal break in the past, I wasn't allowed to box. So then I came to university and they had a boxing team, so it was straight on it for me. I wanted to get stuck in.
I got into boxing at universities from a boxing development officer at England Boxing who'd there's been university championships running for a lot of years, and Sheffield and Hallam University never had a boxing team as such. I've had boxers before that have represented Hallam and won gold medals, who kind of turned up at our gym, were part of university, and we entered them into university championships. So we're speaking with boxing development officer. I thought it'd be a good idea to try and link in with, at first for me, Hallam University for a couple of years, and then I ended up running both universities. So varsity to me means I'm totally impartial, so that's a bit unique.
So my first experience of varsity, I was working as a pitch coordinator. Lived in Sheffield my whole life, never really heard of what varsity was. I once got invited to the final, which was Hillsborough football. And I can remember walking through Hillsborough Park thinking, whoa, this is quite serious, there's quite a few people here. I was expecting like a group of 20, there were a couple of hundred. And then walked up into Hillsborough, and you walked up the stairs and you could hear the roar, and it was a really hot day and all the sun was beating. And you just came over the top of the stairs and you looked down and you saw Howard Webb lining up to referee the fixture. You saw all the black and gold and all the maroon all sat in one stadium, all chanting for their sports teams. And I thought, you know what, this is really unique.
The Sheffield Varsity began in 1997 and was originally limited to the first teams of each sport. A winter varsity, including the ice hockey, ran separately from the normal varsity, which were later merged together. Uni of and Hallam began fairly equal, before a dominant Hallam run for the majority of the noughties.
Actually, I can't remember the year, but it was, we'd had a player sent off and it sort of cost us the game, and then we'd lost on a penalty shootout to win varsity, and we were all, the staff in the background were scrambling behind the scenes to make sure we'd added all the scores up right, and the guys from Forge, we were all in a box at Hillsborough going, what's climbing, equestrian, all the complicated varsity events where you're trying to work out the half points, is this all being added up right? And we ended up drawing, or you ended up losing by a half. Those are the ones that you think, wow, like we could have done it, we could have done this, and we've not, we've just gone so close. But I think that's the beauty of sport, isn't it? I can remember stood on Niagara Sports Ground for a women's game, and we hit the crossbar and it went in, and we didn't have VAR or anything in those days, and we ended up losing the game because they didn't get the goal, and you're like, well, that's just cost us a point, Varsity, and then we've lost by a point. And every year you look back and go, what could have been? But I think, that's the beauty of it, really.
A series of consecutive draws are just a blemish on a streak of 9 unbeaten varsities for Hallam going into the 2010s.
You feel hurt, don't you, when you lose? You feel hurt for the students. In my role then as the club sport manager, working really closely with the students, built up a fantastic relationship all year. And then you come to this big event that means everything, to the students and to the staff. And then you lose. If you're involved in sport, I know winning's not everything, but it definitely helps, I think, to have, to win and to give you that encouragement for the year after. But if I'm honest, I can probably sit here now with that beauty of hindsight, really, and I said it then, we were never good enough.
I guess one way of comparing it, and apologies for the analogy, would be a bit like watching England play cricket back in the day, or even more recently, where you go in with hope, and you're hopeful that they'll do well, but deep down there's a feeling of inevitability that we were going to lose, and that certainly, we came close so many years. I think in my second year it was a tie overall, and we came so close and just never got over that line. It just became, like I say, it was like a feeling of inevitability that they were going to walk away with the trophy. But there was always that hope. My name is Luke McWilliam. I was sports officer 2012-2013, and I was the first Students' Union sports officer to lift the varsity trophy in a decade.
Yeah, probably bringing me to tears a little bit now, just thinking about it. But yeah, with Luke, the pictures on the wall in the building here, but to stand up in front of the crowd at Hillsborough after so long were just like amazing, really.
I think it had been coming for a long time, and I think that the groundwork that had been being built upon year on year, within club sport at the time, and the work that Andy Cox had been doing with the previous sports officers, I think there was probably an inevitability that the change was going to come, and I was just fortunate enough that it was in my year.
It was that real coming together of what I think we used to call at the time that club sport community, and that sort of sense that what we did was quite different, but it was quite unifying in the sense that we all came together and we all cared about that common goal.
One of the things that I love about Varsity Week, or however long the competition is going on for, is seeing the university turn black and gold. And then the great thing about Varsity is that it appeals to all sorts of students. It's not just the ones that are participating in or are keen on the sport. Anybody can get involved with Varsity. Anybody can go along and support their fellow students, and that was one thing that throughout the time that we were losing, it was the one thing that we had over Hallam, was that we had the better support. We had more fans turn out, we had more students get involved, and ultimately, that meant that for those students that were getting involved and supporting and buying the t-shirts and painting their faces, the victory was every part theirs as much as it was the participants of the fixtures.
Once Uni have won one, they haven't lost since and have forged their own dominant era, and we coincidentally have footage to show this now. The overall scores stand at 11 wins for Uni of, 10 for Hallam and 2 draws.
It's exhilarating, even though it's not had the best outcome. it's still a moment where you get to walk out with some pride, you know, show what you have, put it all out on the floor and just play as hard as you can. And also the atmosphere as well, having the crowd chanting for you. Like the feeling is just great, so, you know, just going out there, putting it all out on the floor and showing what I can do.
Really what took me back was the actual atmosphere, and obviously a 900 sellout in Octagon. I think there were only 3 bouts as first varsity, so the 3 matches, and some more matches come from our club, which were fantastic. I got 13-year-olds that were boxing in front of 900 people, who were, didn't matter if they come out of blue corner or come out of red corner, they've got hundreds of people cheering them. So fantastic for that. The atmosphere stood out really well.
An overwhelming sense of just happiness. Not one person that is sitting there grumpy or doesn't want to be there. Everyone just is in the spirit. It's just the black and gold spirit summed up, I always think, to a T when it comes to varsity. It's what black and gold, what it means to be black and gold is what varsity is for us. Everyone's just so happy and so competitive. I think everyone, even if you don't play the sport, the competitiveness comes out in you. You're like, come on, win, come on, uni up.
It's hard to put into words because it is so amazing, but I'm a pretty competitive person, so I absolutely thrived. It was amazing. For me, when I played, it was a very close game. It was kind of we'd score, they'd score, we'd score again. So the tension was incredible. You could cut it with a knife. And each side had so much support. And I think that's what makes it so amazing is, oh my goodness, I've got 100, 200 people cheering for us, going, Hallam, Hallam. It's unbelievable, and that was probably the best feeling of my whole university experience, of everyone being just so happy.
It was a pretty scary atmosphere. I mean, I played the first game, but even in the first game, everyone was screaming at every single point. So normally in a squash match, it's a very chilled out atmosphere, and you don't get like many people saying anything, but like for every point you'd have people screaming on either side. So you're just there like, you know, you've got to like really stay focused, and you're really nervous as well. It's like the most nervous I've ever been for a game. So you kind of have to stay calm. But yeah, it's a like very different atmosphere to what you're normally used to in varsity. Yeah.
The Sheffield Arena never gets louder than during varsity, because you have like an even amount of like sort of away and home of fans of both teams that can just shout at each other, and it's crazy. It's amazing.
From a sort of atmosphere perspective, being sat up at the back when you've got both sides of the arena absolutely packed, you really kind of get all that noise that just meets in the middle, and it becomes kind of tangible almost. You can sort of feel, you know, I know it sounds cliche, but you can kind of feel an electricity in the air.
Match for Sheffield Hallam, an ambitious save for a ambitious shot from Solomon Smith, a man who would...
There's nothing like it, and it is, again, it's a cliche, but it is the best seat in the house.
When I go to the ice hockey, I stand in the same spot at the start of every ice hockey we've ever had. I don't know why, because we've not won it yet. So I mean, maybe I need to move. But when the lights go down and then they come on and you see the whole, like 3/4 of the arena is black and gold, and then you see the Hallam, it's like, whoa, what happened? How did we do this? You know. So some really proud moments that I probably have to take myself away for a few minutes and then come back, and I'm back on it then.
There was one guy who's absolutely, probably the best player we've ever had playing for uni. Not the best player I've ever been playing for uni. There was the year we thought we were going to win it. And he was sat in the top. I thought this guy was super cool. He was great on the puck. He had all the skills. As a human being, he was just a great guy. He was just kind of cool all the time, always seemed to control. And I just, okay guys, we're in the tunnel, get ready to go out and have a chat. I looked at him, he was just literally sat there looking, he was going to collapse. You know what I think? I said, yeah, don't worry, it'll be all right.
I think I like had chills, literal chills when I like walked out there. But like the second from like where the puck drops and you make your first play, have your first physical contact or whatever, from that point I did not really think about the crowd or anything anymore. Like the before was almost intimidating, But while playing, I didn't realize the crowd too much. I mean, it's really loud, so it's hard to communicate with your teammates.
Fear is kind of a motivator, and the thing we always say is, okay guys, your pregame team talk, first thing is, then we go through when you step out on the ice, wait for your name to be called. You will not be able to see a thing. There's going to be a huge light in your face. Come out, skate straight out, and then go around this way. When you're skating around, do not come into the path of anybody that's coming out, because they will smash into you, because it's a whole choreography we do so we don't look stupid with people colliding into each other during warm-up. Because it's just partly just fear, because you got so much nerve and so much energy, and you go out, and all you want to do is don't fall down, don't fall down. Once the game starts, gone. You don't hear the crowd.
Fighting for your first time in front of that many people. I think there was more nerves walking out in front of 900 people than there was about the bout you're about to have. Yeah, but the atmosphere just kicked off, and straight away it just relaxes you because there's so much noise going on, and the way I walked in, you walk past your own fans and they're all cheering and getting up, and then obviously step in the ring and off you go. All that disappears. It's silent. There's obviously it's still going on, everyone's still cheering, but you don't hear it anymore.
I think the atmosphere is, I've never played in an atmosphere like that. I mean, I've never played competitive sports until university, but you walk out, so you do your warm up, and then you go back inside, go into the changing room, have your pep talk, and then you walk out, you hear the crowd, and you get ready for kick-off. And then that first, normally in rugby I have adrenaline coursing through, but that first bit when I was in varsity, I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this, oh my God. And then you just go, and the adrenaline just changes, and you hear the crowd always in the background, but you don't ever register it because you're so focused on the game. But yeah, and then half time comes and you have cheer that come on and do their performance, and the crowd just gets so hyped up for it. And everyone has their chance. So women's rugby have our chance for rugby, and so you've just got all your friends screaming it all the time. And then so when we won last year, so when the last time we had varsity, we were lucky enough to win, and then the whole team just runs on the pitch, everyone's screaming, bottles of Prosecco's are out, and it's just such an ambience to I just couldn't put it into words.
I think the first time I ever heard of varsity was when they mentioned it in a weekly meeting that we had, or 2 weekly meeting that we had for the Forge Radio, and I had no idea what it was. All I heard was varsity, and I went, don't know what that is, but I am very, very new here. I'm not going to ask because I might be stupid. So I never did ask what it was. And there was signing up, and then when I looked at the sign up, I was like, oh, okay, it's a sport thing, cool. And I've never really been that into sports, never overly keen on watching it and stuff, but I put down, because I didn't have a lot of experience with camera work and that sort of thing, so I was like, I'll put down that I could be a runner so I can help and do that. So my first varsity was actually the football event, which I think was the last event. I wasn't that involved to begin with. And the first thing I remember is actually being on the pitch and thinking, wow, this is so cool to be on Hillsborough pitch. Obviously, all the history that's there as well, and just sort of looking around going, this is so weird to actually be able to be part of this. And I think that's what's great about Forge as well. You can get to do these incredible things, and it's just a normal thing. So I feel like everyone thinks that, oh God, this is so cool, but you're then in awe of what's happening and what's going on. So that was sort of my first sort of taste of varsity, and it set me up for the next year where I was in every day.
I think I did just about every single role available. So I started off on the tech, being a cameraman at the boxing, and that was a good experience just to sort of bed yourself in, because boxing is quite a rowdy event. As to what it's like, and seeing the atmosphere and how much both the students from both sides care about the event. And then I moved my way up into presenting at the football and being a pundit on the ice hockey. And the fantastic thing about that was that I didn't really know an awful lot about ice hockey before being made a pundit. So then going to do my prep and learning about the sports, and then going and testing myself on the day. And the amount of people there, you've got to be on the ball. So I think I found that the events, that people get so into them, even if they don't necessarily know much about boxing or ice hockey. That's kind of the spirit of it, really, is to become an expert on this sport for a short space of time.
you can plan all you like, but in the heat of it, it's just non-stop. It's event after event. You find yourself sat on the tram on the way to EIS, frantically Googling what the role of the libero is in volleyball. And the only thing I can really compare it to is the Olympics, just non-stop, event after event. What's on the next day? What's on the next day? You finish up at 10 o'clock at night and you're back meeting for your interval breakfast at 8 o'clock the following morning.
But it's all that nervous energy and all that stress all building up to then the event happening, and obviously the public then arriving, the viewers, and you've got that atmosphere starting where they're all excited and everything. It all builds up to this whole thing, whereas then everything feels in such a rush when you're actually at the event. Everything's happening, you're filming, you're doing, and you're not really paying attention to sort of the time. And then you get to an end of it and it's a 3-hour event and you're just like, wow, that happened. And you get told, 4,000 people watching that live. It's one of those sort of weird feelings afterwards. And then you watch it back and you're just like, oh my God, that was so cool. And you tell people about that afterwards as well. And they're like, you did what? Sorry? Like, that whole, it's an experience you can describe, but until you actually do it, you can't actually tell what it was like.
The feeling when we finished is one of relief, really. One that we did the job that we're sort of paid by the university to do, because obviously the university put a lot of trust in us to cover the sports and to do a good job of it and to be neutral. And when you've brought in these volunteers who maybe haven't done a certain thing before, like being a cameraman, being a presenter, and they've done a good job of it, it's relief, because you're putting a lot of faith in them and they all quite often repay you. The tech operation at Hillsborough and Sheffield Arena is something to behold, actually. The amount of tech that we have and the way we rig the arena up, I think we put some professional broadcasters to shame. So yeah, I'm proud even now thinking about it.
That sort of final night of varsity when you get the paper off at 2 o'clock in the morning, or wrap up the ice hockey broadcast at sort of 10, 11 o'clock, and everyone relaxes and cracks open several beers. It's just brilliant. It's a real rewarding sense, a real sense of achievement.
You feel you become a very close team, and you become a very close-knit group of people, especially during varsity, because these are people you see every day for about 12 hours. Obviously, you go to your lectures. But you become so close that you don't want to sort of let somebody down or anything.
Me personally, it's helped me quite a lot in terms of confidence, being able. So I'm regularly have to speak to a lot of people, got a lot of responsibilities. So on that side, it's helped me a lot. Also in terms of basketball, helps your team spirit, always having a team cohesion, and just knowing that you kind of have that kind of role to play does make you want to play a bit better and push you further in how you contribute to the team.
In terms of personally and just progressing in sports, in first year it massively pushed me to progress in rowing, because it's that thing which you all look forward to, and it's the one event that you really, really want to aim to compete at. And I don't know whether I should say this, but I think I wanted to compete at varsity even more than I wanted to compete at Bucks in my first year for rowing. So I don't know if that's saying anything, but I think it's massive. It's the one event that you look forward to all year, and you really do strive to get better so that you can get in that boat or in that team.
It is quite a unique situation. You've got a lot of boxers that maybe just want to do varsity as kind of a bucket list thing, so and to be honest, some boxers have done varsity, I've never seen them again, who've never walked through the doors again, but and a lot of boxers will be their first way of getting into boxing and competing, and hopefully taking it on, entering university championships, boxing for our club and so on. But yeah, so it's a challenge. It's a challenge for me because I run both teams. The challenge is making fair matches, and making sure that, very important, that it's a good experience. What we don't want to do is get somebody in there and get them hurt.
And yeah, personally, going into rugby, it definitely did make me progress again within rugby rather than just rowing. And that's one thing which I think a lot of people need to understand going into sport. I only started rugby in my third year, And then by the second year of me doing rugby, I'd been picked for the varsity training squad. I got that far, and then obviously COVID happened, so then it got cancelled. But it's that thing that it really makes you strive throughout the whole year to keep training, and it's just a massive morale boost because it's kind of just before exams, and it takes away that extra pressure that uni does give you, and it definitely gives you something outside of uni to strive for, because I think sometimes people can get caught up in only focusing on university course, not anything outside of that, like extracurricular.
It's just one of those memories, like positive memories that you won't forget. So, I mean, you won't be thinking about this every day in your life, but as soon as something similar happens or someone talks about your time at uni, you will also remember that moment. Like, hopefully, among other things like graduation, but that will always be one of the good and positive memories because it's amazing.
I think one of the best memories were probably, would it have been the last varsity when it really went down to the wire. I think there was 13 bouts and Alan won 7-6, so it all went down to the last bout, which couldn't work out any better really. So the result of varsity went on to the decision of that last bout, and it was a great bout, and the crowd were, was something else that day. That was fantastic.
I'm a little bit precious about it, I guess, although I do need to stand back away from it and let other people move it on. But to see the ice hockey happen was something special. To fill the arena is just amazing, really. Some bands can't even fill the arena, can they? But we fill the arena in hours to watch ice hockey, and it's like, well, how did you do that? That sends shivers down my spine just talking about it. So that's a really special time. But just to see the collective of everybody winning, or losing, but normally winning these days.
I don't know. I don't think I could pick one moment, but I think it's understanding and getting like the vibe from everyone. It's like the buzz around you more than like one specific event. I think it's like you're almost on like a high for a couple of weeks.
I think it's just the fact that the team all come together, and the team that, like, if those who don't get picked from our club, they'll come and watch and support from the sidelines and cheer you on. And I think it's just the spirit, the morale that comes with it all. And obviously we are quite close with our men's team, so when they win, and last year, my first year, so last year, when we won and they won, it was a whitewash, and we hadn't had a whitewash like that in years. And it was just a celebration and the happiness that comes with it, and it just shows what the sport is about, and that's what our club and team's about, is that day of celebration and all being there to support each other despite not having a moment on the pitch or being picked, and not harbouring that anger for it. It's just enjoying and cherishing and like being happy for your friends that are there.
That sense of family and that sense of people coming up to me and going, this has been amazing, like, thank you, we've loved it, we would have never had this opportunity. And I remember being in bar 1 at about 10 o'clock or at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and just feeling the love from everybody, because in that moment it kind of showed that we didn't need to win. And I know people say that, oh well, it's not the winning, but it really wasn't. It was so much more. And I suppose, as I alluded to in my previous comments, for the students, if you win your fixture, you've done your bit, and that's what matters to you. That's the bit you can control. And to so many people in that space that evening, they were celebrating their varsity victory. There was obviously people who were hugely disappointed and disappointed they'd not been able to get the result across the line. But what's been brilliant over the last 5 or 6 years is that it's so much more than that. So yes, you might have lost your fixture, but you get back on the horse, you get behind the team the next day, you go and cheer them on, you come to the final, you're part of that experience, and we kind of all win together and we lose together.
I think the best moment was just walking. I started my first varsity, so I was a fresher and I was in the starting lineup. So that was a big moment, just going out on that court. I've never played in front of so many people, so having just all these people, some people you don't even know, just supporting you, and you want to make your university proud and just show your best, I think was a special moment to me. And another really good moment was in my second varsity. I just had probably one of the best games of the season. and just had an interview at the end of the game, and I just remember I never really had an interview before, so it just made me feel quite proud of myself. It's quite good.
Well, the one varsity I played, I got lucky and scored 2 goals, one of them being the game winner.
Can he manage control? A lovely dribble and sidestep there as he goes for the shot. And it's in! A wonderful goal from Hyde!
I mean, I do remember every millisecond of it, but like the second it happened, usually when I score a goal, and I've been playing for a while, so I scored a few, I guess, I sort of celebrate in a way, but I literally was stunned. I just stood there, I think, spreading my arms, was like, oh my god, did this just happen? So it was kind of unreal. It was good. And afterwards, I guess, when you realize, oh wow, this should give us that push now. We are 1 goal ahead. It's only a few minutes left on the clock. It just goes easier. It's just your legs are that little bit less heavy as they were before, and yeah, from the point it went quite well again.
I think the most special moment for me was when I came out in my first varsity game. I think the first play I went at, one of the Hallam players, about 6'8", spun around him, scored a layup. You know, the whole crowd was buzzing, and I think that just really got me going. The next player came down, hit a 3, pure swish. So I think that was one of my best highlights, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say my favourite memory is football in the first year. Sheffield Hallam are leading 2-1, I think in the 90th minute or something like that. And obviously it's strictly neutral as a fan. It's enjoyable that Uni of Sheffield turn it around in the last minute. And we had to completely rip up all of our plans that we had. We were talking about, good win for Hallam, gets them closer to maybe winning the varsity title this year. And you go, oh no, it's a draw, gutting. And then all of a sudden, oh no, it's the other way around. You have to shred up all your notes, completely scrap the last 20 minutes of prep and start again with 2 minutes to go.
It's been resolute in defence as the ball is delivered towards the back post. It's in! The ball is in the net and it's been turned around. It looks like Ollie Basham might have scored it. Joe McLaughlin has scored it, and the crowd go wild for the University.
And the fans went wild, the players went wild, and yeah, it was a great moment. I think if people aren't saying that when they were there, and they're not saying that's the best moment of varsity, then they're lying.
Up the stairs, hear your music come on, which you've selected, and the coach said, whenever you want to go, you go. Then mine was Arctic Monkeys, I bet you look good on the dance floor, and it was just building up, and I was like, I'm not going out until it drops. And then I went out, and half the octagon is booing, the other half's cheering, and it's just, it's crazy, yeah. I come out and get very excited. Hands are in the air, I'm facing the crowd, I'm cheering them on. Then when I got in the ring, I was taunting the Uni of fans. But that was all in the moment. They're booing, and I don't know if I could swear, but they were chanting, shit tats, shit tats, shit tats, shit tats, because I've got some angel wings that come across my back. So I'm like this to the crowd, yeah. But I think the moment was when, because I didn't know if I'd won or not, we both landed some quite big blows, and I've never fought before. I didn't really know. You kind of lose what's happened, especially in the first fight. I don't have much recollection of what happened throughout the whole fight, so I didn't know. And they announced that I'd won, and that was
a brilliant fight. Both fighters should
that meant a lot to me, especially wanting to box before and then never getting the opportunity, and then being a bit older and feeling like that opportunity wasn't going to come, and then I found it at varsity at Sheffield Hallam.
Actually, one year, talking about the 8,000 people, when it was 4,000, it had been 4,000 for a number of years. I think it was the first year we did 8,000. But somebody said, it'd be nice if we had some people come out with flags before the game, the way they do at Steelers matches. And I said, well, my kids could do it. They're really good skaters. And so we gave my eldest son the university flag. My other son got the British flag, the Union flag, and we gave the poor other kid the Hallam flag. And so they went, and of course it was 8,000. So suddenly they sat there, and so my eldest was like, "Okay, go out." He's like, "I won't go out. It's too loud." And the noise, and all the lights went out, and the noise, and he's like, "I don't want to go out." He's like, "Go." And he was old enough that he just went, "You have to go now, the spotlight's there, you have to go now, go." So he went out, got a great picture of it. Thanks again to the photographer. And then my youngest son was, "I'm not going. I'm not going." My wife was, I'm in the change room doing the team talk and getting ready. My wife's there. Because I like taking over my hockey. He's like, you have to go. He's like, I'm definitely not going. I'm definitely not going. No way. At the end of the she literally kicked him out of the ice. She's like, go. Like this. He's okay. And he had to skate around. The other poor kid at the Howland flag, I still coach him now, and it's lovely, but he got booed so much because uni fans were louder. He goes, well, they're all booing me. I mean, the uni ones got booed as well, but it was just, I guess the dynamics of the time. He's like, they're all booing me, but the courage of that for them, I mean, it was amazing. That's one of my best memories.
On ice, favourite moments. There's a couple that probably aren't suitable for the documentary for slightly humorous reasons. It was actually the last one that we did, so that would have been 2019. About 3 or 4 minutes left to go in the game. Uni are down by a goal, so they've called their timeout. So they get 30 seconds to get the players next to the bench, have a breather, and kind of work out what they're going to do to try and get that tying goal. And I'm obviously sat right up at the back. And from the Hallam side, I see something land on the ice and slide its way across towards the Uni bench. So initially you've seen it, you've kind of clocked that this object has appeared. You're not entirely sure what it is. And as it comes to rest, even though I'm a really long way away, I can sort of make out the shape of it. And I said on the headsets to the guys down between the penalty boxes, is that what I think it is? And they went, yeah, that is what you think it is. Why somebody on the Hallam side brought a large sex toy into the building with them, I don't know. Why they thought it was a good idea, but they did pick a good moment to throw it, I'll say that.
If someone is nervous about joining a team, I would say 100% go for it. It is the best thing that I ever did at my time at university. I know when I was in first year, I was a little bit lonely, didn't have that many friends, I didn't really get along with my flat, and I thought, I've just got to go along and try my hardest, and it's the best thing I ever did. I ended up living with the people in my club, I ended up playing in varsity, which, as I've said, was one of the best things I ever did. And I have many friends that joined clubs they've never even heard of, and tried out sports that they'd never even seen before, and they've gone on to play in the varsity, and they've gone on to have people cheering their names, supporting their club, and really it's, I think, one of the best things that you could do at university is to join a club.
If anyone's thinking about getting involved in a varsity event or just sport at uni, just go for it. I can be quite an anxious person, but so then going to women's rugby to give it a go, I was a little bit worried, but then everyone's always so lovely and welcoming, and then you already have so many friends within a sports club. I think that's a massive thing as well. Coming to uni, sometimes you feel like you're kind of not stuck with, but you can be friends with just your flat or just your course mates, and I think it's really important to have friends outside of that, and it's also just a support structure, and it has definitely helped me throughout uni. I don't think I'd have probably carried on for my courses if I hadn't had that push and drive outside of it as well.
Go to some of the less obvious events, because there's so many sports played at varsity, and anyone's welcome to go and support any of them. I remember going to watch the swimming and water polo, and then discovering my new obsession of canoe polo. I didn't even know it was a thing, and I was there because to watch the swimming and water polo, and then all of a sudden in the diving pool, everyone jumped in their canoes and started bashing a ball around with the paddles and throwing off. It was so fast and so furious. So I was just like, how could I, how have I missed this up until now? And there's countless other sports where they don't necessarily get the full attention that sort of the more sort of high participation sports do. So I'd encourage anybody just to go and attend one of the slightly smaller events, because you'll be surprised, and the level of competition is just as intense.
Yeah, I think people, when it comes to uni, should get involved. I mean, there's so many benefits. Like, you meet so many new people. You make a little community for yourself. You get to learn new skills, develop new skills, showcase your skills. and really just enjoy yourself, enjoy your time at uni.
For us, obviously, for boxing, I'd say come along. You know, we're a friendly club, we're an open club, and we work with boxers of all ability, don't matter what your ability is. You know, again, we would look after you, we would match you up properly, and give you an experience that you'll never forget.
Yeah, I think you know, it's a nice chance. I've been at the university a really long time, right? So since '97, and I've never felt more of a community in my academic department or in my faculty as I do with sporting things. I don't think I've ever worn a University of Sheffield varsity shirt, like a shirt, not just the University of Sheffield on it, but I wear my varsity shirts all the time because I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of having taken part in it, and played in it, and you know, coaching it and all that stuff. I think that's so important.
Being part of varsity, you know, it is about that social connectivity. It's about being able to stand shoulder to shoulder with, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 fellow students and get behind a cause. And that's what for me is so magical about that final event. You know, it's yes, the ice hockey matters, but it's so much more. It's about, you know, belonging. It's about your institution. It's about being, you know, feeling that sense of identity, which is so important. And I think it lives with people, you know, long after their uni days are over. I mean, for me, it is that the lights go down, the music goes up, and just the electricity, and being part of it. You know, it's something quite unique, I think, for both universities. I can't think of another example or an event at this size that works to bring people together from right across the university, whether that's mature students, PhD students, staff, international students. You know, it's so inclusive, and it's the hottest ticket in town. And I think for me, it's so much more than sport. It's a feeling, and I think a feeling that lives on with people way beyond their time at university. So for anybody who is wondering about Varsity 2022, I would fully recommend you get your colours on, and you get behind your teams, and be inspired, because it's absolutely fantastic.
Probably not the best at describing it.
Oh no, that's brilliant, yeah.
All right, hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you so much. That's honestly like absolutely gold. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
That story about the kid game, dude.
What?
The story about the kid game, dude.
Oh, it was
like hearing so many stories and stuff. It's been so emotional, but no, it's great.